You're listening to a Faith Matters podcast.
Welcome back to Faith Matters, and we're going to head into our Faith Chats segment of the show. And I have an amazing young woman in the studio with me. Her name is Malia. Say hello, Malia.
Hello.
I've got Malia in with me. She's actually my granddaughter. Let's be honest about that. That's why I think she's so amazing. But I have her in this week because she did a speech, and my daughter videoed her in her speech, and I was so impressed by what I heard. Malia talked into things around social media and connection, especially for her age group. So I asked Malia to come in because last week me and Denise actually talked about connection on our podcast here, and you can listen into that on Raglan Radio under Faith Matters, or you can listen to it under Becoming Unoffendable. Is it, Denise?
Yes.
Oh, that was a
yes.
She is still with us. So you can tune in there and see what we were talking about, connection, and how maybe we need to be looking at that in our own lives. But right now, I've asked Malia to actually bring her speech to us today that she gave at the school. And I think this speech goes across all ages. It doesn't matter what age we are. We're going to get something from this, but particularly for our young people to think about how we connect, what our connections mean to us, or if we are even connecting anymore. So welcome, Malia. Absolutely. I've had Malia in here before, Malia? It's been a few years ago now.
Yeah, I think this is my third time in here.
It is, and it is so lovely to have you back in here. So I'm going to leave this up to Malia now. She's going to give us... Have you got a heading for your talk? What was the title?
Why social media is ruining our childhood.
There we go. So maybe go and grab yourself a cup of tea. If you haven't already, sit down, or maybe stop whatever you're doing and have a listen to this, because I think this is what we all need to hear right now. So over to you, beautiful Malia.
Okay. Raise your hand if the first thing you do when you wake up is to check your phone. Now, keep your hand up if the last thing you do when you go to bed is to scroll through it. When did our phones become the first and last things we spend time with every day? I remember when the biggest thing we would worry about was who was in for a game of tag. Now, many of us worry more about losing a streak with someone on Snapchat. So, here's the question I want to leave you with. Has social media become that important that we're willing to trade a real childhood for a digital one? Did you know your brain struggles to tell the difference between a real experience and a thought you repeat over and over? Every time you scroll past something that makes you feel embarrassed or not good enough, your brain starts creating a story. You tell yourself, I've done that, or that's me, even when it isn't true. The more you repeat that story, the more your brain begins to accept it as reality. Sometimes in life, that anxiety is what's holding us back from making mistakes or doing something wrong, when most of the time, making those mistakes what helps us create new possibilities and adventure. You then naturally start to think that staying behind the screen will support you alongside your journey. But that screen is what's restricting you from having one. Have you ever wondered what you are really missing out on? Or seeing people achieve things and watching them post about it creates a certain emotion called the fear of missing out. This emotion doesn't come by accident. We feel this way because we are far too focused on being jealous of somebody else's life that we forget to focus on our own. If it weren't for social media, we wouldn't constantly be reminded of the experience we aren't having. Instead of creating our own memorable moments, we sit back and watch others live theirs. Going on social media for too long just keeps on making us more addicted. The more time we spend getting addicted, the less time we have connecting with ourselves. Do you really think that social media is more important than growing and learning. If your life is just revolved around social media, then you have a massive problem. Let's face it, what you're listening to isn't going to change your life forever. These are the kinds of things that are dragging us further and further away from having a memorable childhood. A real childhood should be coming home to your friends and family, being able to connect with real-life people. Now, I want you to take a moment and reflect on your own life. Does social media make you feel important? Does it make you feel like you truly belong? Or has it slowly convinced you that your worth is measured by likes, followers, and streaks? Childhood was never meant to be spent endlessly scrolling through a screen. So the next time you reach for your phone, ask yourself one simple question. Am I actually living my life, or am I just watching everyone else live theirs? Because one day you'll put down your phone for the final time, but you'll never get the chance to relive the childhood moments you let pass by. Don't let a screen become the reason you missed out on your own story.
Yeah, there we have it. Thank you, Malia, for sharing that wonderful speech with us. There's so much in that, and yeah, it has a lot of value in what you've said. So many blessings to you, Dole. You're awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Welcome back here with us on Faith Matters. I have Denise now in the studio.
Well,
She's been here all along, actually. She has been here, but now you're on the mic.
Yeah. Well, kia ora everybody.
We've had an interesting show today. We had Marriage Matters at the beginning. We just had Malia on with her talk around connection and social media. And Malia's 11 years old. I think the insights that she brought are valuable for us all.
Yeah, it was amazing. That whole idea of is your screen robbing you of life is pretty deep.
I know. She's very precious. And I think a lot of our younger ones are starting to think about these things because they need to. They don't want to be robbed of their childhood. But we're hearing it from the mouths of babes, It's us adults that need to be saying that too. We don't want to see our kids robbed of their childhood. And we know what that was like. I mean, I'm a bit older than you, Denise, so my childhood was, the phone. We didn't have handheld phones and things like that. So we could disappear for a whole day on adventures and we just had to be home by 5.
Yeah.
Nobody asked us what we did in between.
Yeah, exactly.
There were no cameras on us. Nobody clicking off any of the evidence. So in fact, there's no evidence from our younger childhood years.
Yeah, that's right.
Except for from a portable camera, if we were lucky of friends, we got a few shots of our friends here and there. But, there is nothing to say what we did.
Exactly.
We had freedom. We had absolute freedom. I think that's the beauty of the age we might be at, is that we've had an experience of all areas with and without, and we've been able to move from the without into the with social media and phones and get our heads around all of that. I personally really enjoy all those aspects of technology, but I also am very cautious on what that can mean for when we overuse, especially when we're young, and we let that replace our childhood. We can't let that happen. That's where the fun happens, that's where the excitement happens, and that's where we develop in who we are as people. So we don't want that taken away from our young ones. So bless you, Malia, for your wisdom and your knowledge into this area. That was fantastic. So we're going to head into, what are we going to head into, Denise? Did you have some thoughts?
Well, I'm just thinking, you mentioned that we were talking last week about losing the art of real connection, and we talked about the way that Jesus connected with people in his time, and he wasn't going around on a cell phone either. He was connecting with people, but he wasn't just connecting with people who were like him. He was connecting with people who were really different. He connected as much with fringe people as not fringe people. And we sort of explored that a little bit last week, but something that where we didn't go that I thought afterwards it would have been really good to talk about is the reality that Jesus is not past tense, that we can actually still have connection with him today. That you talked before about prayer as a conversation with him, and I just wanted to kind of reiterate that actually no matter who you are or what your background or any of that sort of thing, Jesus is interested in your story. He's interested in being a part of your life, and especially if you're in a situation where you feel like you're not getting connection through other people, God is always available and listening for us to connect with him. Sometimes we will hear him speak into a situation in different ways. It might be there are occasional people who hear audible voices, but just as often it's something that you just have a wow moment, whether it's the beauty of looking up at the stars or whether it's marveling at somebody's artwork or whether it's reading something that really speaks to you, whatever it might be. There's all these different ways that God can definitely speak, but we too can actually connect with him.
Yeah, that's the most precious thing, and it's not a tangible I see you thing. It's a I feel you thing. It's a I sense and I feel, and there's a filling up in me from that relationship. I mean, that's what faith is all about. It's not what we can see, but when I think about how people struggle with having relationship with Jesus. I mean, we can't see the wind, but we know it's there. That's a good one to try and explain what faith is all about and how can we have this concept of somebody who's no longer tangibly with us. Well, we can't see that wind around us, not with our visual eyes, but we can sense and feel. And, well, we can see the trees moving, but we don't know that's wind. So somebody told us it was wind, so we think it's the wind shifting the trees, obviously. And we can sense it and feel it when we're out in it. But, relationship with Jesus, relationship with God, relationship with Holy Spirit is all those things that we don't tangibly see with our eyes, but we feel and sense within us. And we may see things happen around that are related to that relationship, and that helps to encourage us and make us go, wow, this is incredible.
Often it's in the still places that we really feel that sense of wonder and connect with God. And so I guess thinking about the perspective of what Malia was just speaking about filling our days with screens or noise or whatever, often we might not be only robbing ourselves of a childhood or a rich life as far as experience, but also perhaps in that connection with God as well.
Yeah, so that's a good question. What are we blocking out when we're listening to everything else? What are we missing? Are we missing the beauty of life, or that connection that is supernatural, which is a fascinating journey in itself, learning all about that and discovering it for yourself and what it means in your own life and how that interacts with your own life and makes it even more exciting. So yeah, those connections. What's stopping us from connection? What are we bringing into our lives that block connection? And how important is connection for us and to us in our own development as individuals and as groups and communities?
I guess talking about ourselves as individuals, that leads really nicely onto this week's blog. It was a blog called Know Thyself. And I was very aware that when you start talking about getting to know yourself, people go off on adventures all around the place just to find out who they are. Or you think of the phrase navel gazing, people who are so focused on themselves that it's actually, it breaks relationship down almost as opposed to enhancing it. So I was thinking about, knowing ourselves in growing to know ourselves better in a way that is actually going to build into relationship. Obviously, the overall title of my blog is Becoming Unoffendable. So when I'm writing, I'm trying to think in the context of how can we strengthen our relationships. So talking about knowing thyself, I ended up talking about personality types, which I know there's a lot of people who are just like, oh no,
here we go,
don't try and box me in. But I do enjoy personality tests and different and the insights that they give. And I think sometimes when we're looking at ourselves, we can be so subjective. Oh, this is just me. This is just how I am. But when you realise that, I think maybe when you get in a difficult time, when you think you're an individual, which you are, and I fully believe that each of us is unique and kind of brings something unique to offer the world. But when we focus on me, my uniqueness, I'm different, no one else
like me. Yeah,
it doesn't take long when things are getting hard to change that to nobody understands me, I'm the only one who can do it right, those sort of more the negative aspects of ourselves. Whereas when we get an idea of something like a personality test and we go, oh my gosh, there's other people in the world who process things in a similar way to me, I just think it's mind-blowing. I just think it's awesome.
I agree. Those personality tests, I mean, find a good one. You've got a good one in your blog, haven't you, that leads to a link?
Yes, yeah, it does. It's a free Enneagram, it's called. It's a free test that you can do.
So if you want to do that, you want to head into Denise's blogs. You can find that on denise.nz. Look her up online, have a look on her website, scroll around, you will find her blogs. And if you're wanting to do that personality test, you can look through there and click onto the link of today's chat. I think it's a lot of fun. It helps us to maybe understand aspects of ourselves that we thought was a bit weird or that no one else would get or understand, and then you realise, hey, there's other weirdos out there too. I'm not alone.
It's just so fascinating. So I ended up having the same personality type as my father, and I can remember him saying to me, well, I helped him with his accounts when he was getting near the end of his life, and I can remember something he was doing one day, and it was just so obvious to me what he needed to do next. And I was just like, just do this. And he just turns to me and goes, you're so stubborn. And I was like, where do you think I get that from? But it was really helpful knowing that I have the same personality as him. When he said that to me and knowing the clarity that I had in that moment of you just need to do this next step, I learnt something and I went, wow, I'm thinking about someone and I'm thinking you're so stubborn. Instead of labelling them as stubborn, I actually need to pause and ask them, what are you seeing right now that I can't see?
Oh, good question. Oh, great question right there.
Yeah, and it was just this amazing moment of clarity with Dad, and I was just like, wow. And then years and years later, my middle son, who I really couldn't place what his personality was when he was young, he came out having proudly done the Myers-Briggs test, which is my original, and I love it. And he told me very proudly what his personality type was, and it was so funny because it was also mine. And I was like, oh, this is fascinating.
Makes sense, huh?
Yep, I was able to, with one of his brothers who was the complete opposite from him on every point, so I was able to talk to them right through their childhood about relating to somebody who has an opposite worldview to you, because it happened in our house every day. And it's not necessarily that our ideologies were different, but the way that they approached every single thing was completely different from each other. And oh my gosh, sometimes it would come to blows. But
exhausting, huh?
Yeah. But every day we had the opportunity to learn, what does it look like to be okay with somebody seeing that completely differently to how you do. Funny, as it goes on, we had another member of the family join that clashed with this same middle child. Well, it turns out she's got the same personality type too, and I'm just like, oh, no wonder you two clashed, because you've got the same personality. So even just knowing that, now they're able to hold that and go, so what is it about you that is upsetting me so much right now, which is probably more about me than it's about
A
you.
reflection.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're seeing ourselves.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. But because they know that now, it seems to have diffused a little bit, because now when they're like, oh, hang on a minute, what's going on here?
It's just like me when I get like that. I think I can notice that with certain people in my life where, you know, we might come up to loggerheads with each other, and I've used this concept, this person's personality is probably like me, and then I think, oh my gosh, really? So that's what I'm like, oh, what do I want to develop about myself, or what do I want to now hone a little bit better so maybe I don't have such sharp edges, or maybe I have a bit more capacity to hear another person in a certain way that they may need me to hear them.
Yeah.
Denise is laughing. She knows.
I'm laughing because I had a great conversation. So, okay, can I let the cat out of the bag a little bit?
Go for it. Meow.
So, we figured out, only a couple of months ago probably, that Marie and my husband have got the same personality type. And I bumped into Marie's husband in the supermarket, and we had the most hilarious conversation because there was just, both of us just know what it's like to be married to your personality type. And it was just this moment. It's like, yep, I know what you're experiencing.
Oh my gosh, I don't see the shadow self, what we don't see about ourselves. I think I'm amazing, Denise. There's nothing wrong with me at all. And here I'm learning, there is some stuff I need to learn.
But it's not necessarily that there's anything wrong. It's that the way that we interact with it, it's a firm stance, and so we have to figure out how to deal with that.
I mean, I've heard people tell me you're quite a strong person, but I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, I come from places where you've never been, obviously. You know, of course I know. But I think that maybe that's just my personality type anyway, Denise. No, I'm like,
Yeah, and so there's nothing, like, I wouldn't say that you and my husband are similar. Like, you've had a completely different story, obviously guy, girl, like all sorts of things. Yeah. Quite different, yet some of the ways that you process things are that similar style. So yeah,
I'm gonna have to be watching your husband a bit more now. What do I need to develop? I don't know if you did that right. Oh dear, okay. Is that how I do that? But there you go. I mean, yeah, we all function differently, but we can learn to function with each other, because obviously you're still with your husband. Yeah, and we have a great friendship.
And I'm great friends with you, so it works.
It does work. Iron sharpens iron, folks. If you don't know what that means, maybe look it up in the Bible. Iron sharpens. Well, this is a good metaphor you can look at. It's a piece of machinery. You know, it's got a bit of a jagged edge on there. If it keeps on rubbing up against the other piece of machinery, now a machinist out there is going to tell me the whole machine would be wrecked, okay, and come apart. Well, let's not go there. Let's just say it rubs up against it, and iron sharpens iron. After a while, it will smooth out and work together beautifully.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's where I was going with this week, was perhaps learning about yourself in whatever way works for you, but sometimes it can be helpful to have that exterior perspective. Exactly what you just said. There's parts of our shadow selves that we just don't see because we think of it as so normal. When somebody looks at something from a different perspective, it can almost surprise us because we're so used to the way that we process.
Yeah, I like what you're saying here, because I often say, to people, you're unique, you're a one-off, you're incredibly valuable. You can't be recreated. There is nobody like you. And I think when we're going through difficult times and we don't have a good view of self, that is a great place to start in our uniqueness, because sometimes we can be embarrassed about certain things about ourselves and it makes us shy away or shuts us down. But as you start to realise how unique you are, you start to enjoy the quirky parts of self and the things that aren't like everyone else, because you're set apart. No one can be like you, and I still stand to that. But I also agree with what you are saying in here, that when the pressure comes in on our relationships are not healthy. The thought that we are unique leads to beliefs that, like, no one understands what I'm going through. I'm unlovable, nobody gets me, I'm too much. And, sometimes in our uniqueness we can shut others out and believe things about ourselves that aren't relational. They're more, like you say, the navel-gazing type view of self. Whereas we want to be able to use our uniqueness and engage with others and enjoy that part that makes us a little bit different, and enjoy who they are and their difference, and not try and make them like us.
Yes. Yeah, well, when you understand that, say, another person is really all about the ideas and the theories, and you might be all about the nuts and bolts physical, what can you actually touch and see, then rather than always missing each other, because when you're having an argument with somebody and they're coming at you with ideas and theories, and all you want is to be able to hold something in your hand to prove it, you're never going to, unless you understand that that's the way they're wired, you're never going to grasp that. You'll just think that they're completely off the wall and maybe away with the fairies, but that might be the way that they are wired. I mean, that's one of my things is I'll just randomly every now and then just say, I've got a theory, and I'll just come up with something and people are just like, "Care?" But I just love coming up with theories, and then might then choose to try and prove or disprove my theory. Sometimes it's just an idea that it was just a thought and there's nothing else to it. But I've got other people around me who are really practical, like if it's not solid, made of some sort of metal or wood or stone or something, they can't fathom it.
Because they need something
tactile,
tangible. Yeah.
So that's an interesting thing. But I guess when we see our weaknesses are things that are quite, like, we can learn our weaknesses. For example, let's just say that my father said, "You're so stubborn." Well, I mean, he wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
And so I know that about myself. So when we're looking at other people, we might see their weaknesses, and that's fairly easy to spot. But that's one thing why I put in here about Enneagram is one thing that they do is they talk about your core desire and your core fears, as well as sort of that weakness aspect and obviously your strengths. But your fears are not always obvious. So I had a little paragraph in here that some of the fears that we have, like for example, you might have a fear of weakness or you might have a fear of failure, and they sound quite similar, but actually how they'll present in your relationship is quite different. So if you have a fear of appearing weak, there is no way on earth that you are going to ask anybody for help, because by asking someone for help, it means that you needed help, which means that you must have a weakness somewhere, and that's not okay.
Yeah.
But if you're afraid of failure, then actually you would be willing to ask somebody for help, because the worst case scenario for you would be that thing just didn't get finished. And so actually anybody who could come on board to help you get that thing done, that's okay. But to me, the fear of weakness and the fear of failure sound kind of similar. You had Malia saying before about the fear of missing out, and that's something that is probably a stronger fear nowadays than it used to be, because we can see what other people are doing much easier than we used to. So I joke with some members of my family, because one person I'm thinking of does have a fear of missing out, and yet they're the most unlikely person that you just wouldn't pick it. But knowing that about them, I'm just like, I do like to tease them a little bit every now and then. But it's so helpful to know, because now that I know this person is really going to be struggling if something else is going on and they need to be doing this over here, they're going to be drawn back to what everybody else is doing. That's just really helpful information. So you can't see somebody's fear, but it shapes how they respond and how they interact with you in a huge way.
Yeah, I think if I think about my own example of that, I definitely would have seen, I've got to do everything myself, which either one of those I was, a fear of something.
Yeah.
Fear anyway, let's just say that.
Yeah, there's a few more in here.
Fear. I mean, life had shaped me in such a way that I needed to do everything myself.
Yeah.
I can only trust myself. So I wouldn't have brought others in because I don't know if I would have thought it showed a weakness in me. I just wanted people to see that I could do it myself. And if I couldn't do it myself, then I would figure it out myself until I could do that myself.
So you wanted to be seen as competent.
Absolutely. And, that I would complete something and be able to do that, even if I didn't have the confidence to do that. I think life has shaped me again since then, as it does. We get shaped through the different seasons of our life. Now I'm quite happy to bring people in, but I don't just bring anybody in. I tend to I don't have hundreds of relationships. I have fewer relationships, but strong relationships. And the people that I bring in would be people that I've learnt to trust and value in what they offer that might be even opposing to what I might think, but because I know this person and I value their input, so I'm going to go and think about that and how can I now use that in what I want to do. Instead of, I would never have gone there before, I wouldn't have even been interested in what another person thought because it would have put me off track on what I know. So even your blog around becoming unoffendable, I've always absolutely loved that name. I've thought it's just such a challenging and growth developing name. Becoming unoffendable doesn't mean we've arrived. We're always becoming, we're always unpacking. How was I offended by that person? How was I offended by that situation? What was it that triggered me? How could I have engaged with that without losing relationship?
Yeah, well, it's interesting that you talk about bringing people on board who are different from you, because that's actually where the blog sort of landed, was talking about the fact that opposites attract for a reason, because when we are only around people who are like-minded, that's when people kind of turn a blind eye, because they're all, perhaps their strengths are in similar areas and they just don't notice. So it's not always that people are awful. Sometimes they just don't notice because they're around people who are so similar to them. So when we walk alongside somebody who is the opposite to us, well, our strength is going to be their weakness, so we can help them. But equally, where we've got a blind spot, they might see it. And so when we can actually do that and value each other and each other's contributions, then we can walk together as opposites really healthily. But when we are easily offended and we're walking with somebody, opposites will attract, will still be drawn to people from time to time who are different from us. But then we hold that against them as like judgment. But you should have thought of it this way. Well, why? Because you do? That doesn't,
absolutely.
Just because you think that way doesn't mean everybody has to think that way.
Well, I told you so.
Yeah.
After everything else fails. You're the one bouncing in the corner going, yeah, I knew that, I didn't listen. I think learning to engage with another person where a point of view might come from a different angle is healthy. How do we hold that space, not be offended by it, but engage with it and just learn to listen, because there might be something in there that is of great value.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess that's sort of where it all comes back to. Know yourself, but know yourself in a way that actually builds relationship with others and adds value, helps you to appreciate others for who they are and what they bring into your world.
There we go. That's a great one to be leaving this with. And it's all been about connection for the last couple of weeks now, and I don't think we can ever talk about that too much, because it's something we really, really need in the world that we are in right now, is to be more and more connected with each other and learn how to do that, how to have those great connections. Because like Malia said, do we want to allow media, our phones, social media, to interrupt with relationship and, for her, childhood? Do we want those things to take away from us as human beings, or do we want to take some responsibility and go, maybe I can put my phone down sometimes and engage with the people around me, or maybe I can learn to more about personalities and how I can be with somebody who perhaps doesn't see the same thing as me in the way that I'd like them to see it. What are they seeing that I don't? I love that, Denise. What are you seeing that I'm not seeing? I think that was fantastic.
You've been listening to a Faith Matters podcast. If you have questions, email us on faithmatters98.1fm@gmail.com.